So if you really take a look on stocks, like the traditional stocks, it's been up around about 79% in the past year. You would think that is good, but if you look at Bitcoin has been up 332% in the past year.
Based on the market, the rand should be at 18.6 to the dollar. And the banks needed to be at 18.5 to the dollar because that's what their position suggests. If it goes to 18.6, they'll make losses. Effectively, what they're able to do is they're able to match certain trades in order to push the price down to where they need it to be, and effectively, in this case, weaken the rand.
They could print more dollars and they couldn't maintain the physical gold to match your dollars. Hence, they had to depeg the dollar from gold. Therefore, it made the dollar less valuable. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Worldwide Crypto, man. Thank you for tuning in. Before we get into it, like and subscribe on the channel. It helps me a lot with improving my channel and improving my content. Engage in the comments whether you like this type of content or not. But yeah, like and subscribe before we get into it. I mean, it's free. It's free. Just like and subscribe. So today's episode will be talking about Bitcoin, the benefits of Bitcoin, and how money actually works as a whole. So, Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? What is Bitcoin? What do people use Bitcoin for, and who is it for, and what is it all about? There's like this whole conspiracy of Bitcoin that Bitcoin is used for scamming and crime. I mean, that is also there, but you have to understand the fundamental values of Bitcoin first before you make your conclusion on Bitcoin and before investing into Bitcoin. So, what is money? What is the history of money? Because Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, which is money at the end of the day. So, what is money? The history of money, before we used like paper notes, we used to barter. We used to barter, for goods and exchange of goods and services. Then time went on, then we discovered paper notes, like the dollars or rands. So, back in the days, the dollar was pegged to gold. The United States went off the gold standard in 1971 with President Richard Nixon announcing the United States will no longer convert dollars to gold at a fixed value. The gold standard was a monetary system in which currency was backed by gold. Some key events that led to the United States going off the gold standard include: the United States had a large supply of dollars around the world, but there was not enough gold to back it.
In recent weeks, the speculators have been waging an all-out war on the American dollar. The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States. Now, what is this action, which is very technical, what does it mean for you? If you want to buy a foreign car or take a trip abroad, market conditions may cause your dollar to buy slightly less.
There was a significant amount of dollars that we couldn't measure and keep up to the goal that we had, because the dollar, the notes had an unlimited supply of it. Had an unlimited supply of dollars and a standard supply of gold. So they could print more dollars and they couldn't maintain the physical gold to match your dollars. Hence, they had to depeg the dollar from gold. Therefore, it made the dollar less valuable. Because the disadvantage of dollars is that there's an unlimited supply of it. If there's an unlimited supply of something, it means that you can make as much dollars as you want. You see? So the reason why gold was so valuable is because there was a limited supply of gold. Therefore, the value of it is high because there's a limited supply. If you can mine all the gold on Earth, that will mean that it's finished. If you can mine it all, it means it's finished. You will not get any more gold. Maybe for the Earth to process more gold, you would have to maybe take 10,000 years to process like a brick of gold. Hence, for rands and dollars and fiat currency, that's what we call it, fiat currency. That is your paper notes. You can print endless of it. Hence, that will lead to inflation. Inflation measures how quickly money loses its purchasing power. And here are some additional details about inflation. High inflation occurs when demand of goods and services exceeds the economic ability to produce them, or when the cost of raw materials and labor increases. Inflation can be caused by multiple policies, such as setting interest rates too low or increasing money growth too rapidly. Inflation can both be positive and negative effects on the economy. The inflation rate is typically measured by comparing the value of basics of goods and services over time. Because the more dollars that they print, is the less value that your money will have. Because the more dollars that you're putting it out there into the market, that will make the value of each dollar less. A typical example, let's say 10 years back, your typical $1 or R1 buys significantly less stuff today than it used to 10 years ago. And that will continue on happening because inflation is coming up, inflation is rising, everything is rising. The prices of goods and services are increasing, and the money that they're printing, they're also trying to keep up with that, meaning they're printing more dollars, which makes the value of your money decrease. Now, how does that correlate and correspond with Bitcoin? Now, the advantage of Bitcoin is that when Bitcoin was made by an anonymous or a group of people that go by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, there was a standard of Bitcoin that will ever be made, which is 21 Bitcoin in the world. Once that 21 Bitcoin is mined or is bought or is in exchange, you'll never get any more Bitcoin. There's only 21. So there's a limited supply. Coming back to gold, gold also has a limited supply. If you mine all the gold on Earth, then it's finished. Hence, the supply of it is to a certain extent, and the demand will go up because there's a certain amount of supply. With Bitcoin, there's only 21 Bitcoin that will ever be made, and no one can change it, and no one can make more because it's there, it's in the blockchain, and no one can change it or no one can manipulate it like the dollars. Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that uses cryptography to secure and verify transactions. It was created in 2009 by an anonymous individual or group using the name Satoshi Nakamoto. Bitcoin is based on a peer-to-peer network with no central authority controlling it. Some interesting facts and pointers on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a limited supply. There will only be 21 million Bitcoin in existence. Bitcoin's decentralization. Bitcoin operates independently of central banks and governments. Security of Bitcoin. Bitcoin decentralized ledger called the blockchain is resistant to fraud and censorship. Volatility of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's value can fluctuate rapidly and unpredictably. Bitcoin's adoption. Bitcoin is accepted by an increasing number of merchants and institutions. I mean, here in South Africa, we were facing like a scandal. I think it was like last year, 2023, where they figured out that the rand was manipulated. So how can you manipulate the rand, which is easy because you can just print it? So there was money manipulation with the rand. And what did they do? They just gave them a slap on the wrist. No one got arrested. Nothing really happened.
They have admitted basically to manipulating the rand.
Yeah.
They've been fined over 40 million rand by the Competition Commission, which is not a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just have to say that. For
Yeah.
them, not for us. Could we see local banks also in trouble?
That is the big question, Sally, but the big culprits, as we're starting to see now, have been the big international banks like Standard Chartered and Citibank. And I suppose in order for them not to be fined exorbitant amounts after investigations, settlements looks like the way to go for a lot of them. That seems to be what they've done, and hence the 40-odd million that they've now been fined. Harry, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Let's start by explaining, if you will, in layman's terms, what exactly is currency manipulation?
Well, currency manipulation is effectively when a big bank or someone outside of a consumer decides to put a price on where they want a currency to be, and they act accordingly. And in this case, it was collaboration by 28 big banks who basically decided they wanted the rand dollar to be in a certain range, and they ensured that was the case based on the way they acted.
Right. Now, what are the direct implications of this kind of manipulation on the local currency?
So effectively, let's say that based on the market, the rand should be at 18.6 to the dollar. And the banks needed to be at 18.5 to the dollar because that's what their position suggests. If it goes to 18.6, they'll make losses. Effectively, what they're able to do is they're able to match certain trades in order to push the price down to where they need it to be, and effectively, in this case, weaken the rand.
So that's why I started to educate myself on like, what is the best money that can't be manipulated, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin can't be manipulated in any way or form. And Bitcoin, it's a decentralized cryptocurrency, meaning no one can manipulate it and no one can mess with it and no one can change the supply of it and increase the supply of it. The banks and the government have nothing to do with it. They can't manipulate it. They can't do gymnastics on it and say the dollar's worth this, the dollar's worth that, or Bitcoin is worth this, or we're gonna make more. They can't, because it's decentralized cryptocurrency, meaning the people are in control of it and the miners out there are in control of it. You are in control of your own money, meaning every transaction that happens in Bitcoin stays on the blockchain, and the blockchain is where all the information and all the transactions are kept in the blockchain. The blockchain is a transparent way to check where you can't really see where the Bitcoin were going, but you can see every transactions that happened. Me and you can do that, but in a bank you can't, because it's centralized and Bitcoin is decentralized. So me and you are in control of our own money. We can see what happens. We can see how much Bitcoin is left. We can see how much Bitcoin has been bought. So that is a very good advantage. because no government can or no bank can manipulate it and counterfeit it to fit their selfish needs. So in my opinion, I think Bitcoin is the best investment that you can make to date, because according to like stats and my own research that I've made, stocks, which has been the best performing asset in like before Bitcoin. So if you really take a look on stocks, like the traditional stocks, it's been up around about 79% in the past year. You would think that is good, but if you look at Bitcoin has been up 332% in the past year. So in my knowledge, I don't think there's any other investment that can outmaneuver or outperform Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin is very young, and these are the early stages of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has a long way to go, and it's the best performing assets in the last 10 years, and Bitcoin is only like 14 years, and it's outperforming every stock that there is. You can name me any stock and any investment portfolio. I think Bitcoin will outperform that with a great amount, actually. So I think Bitcoin is a really, really, really good investment for your future. You know, if you want to invest in your future, I think Bitcoin is the best way to go about it, because it's new, it's decentralized, and no one can counterfeit it. No one can mess with it, and no one can, do gymnastics with like Bitcoin. So I think it's a really good investment. So investment as a whole is very good for like your future, because people have to invest. The thing is, we don't invest enough, because working, the paycheck that you get, I'm sure majority of the people would say, the money that I'm getting paid is not enough. It doesn't, I have to pay my bills. I have children. I must pay my car. I must pay my mortgage. I must pay all that. And at the end of the day, you're left with basically not really much. So people do save money, but saving money, it doesn't really appreciate the value of your money. There are other investments, maybe in South Africa, maybe in like a bank, you get like 2% a month, which is ridiculous. If you were to take a look on Bitcoin is up 332% in the last year. So I think that is a very good performance. Like, you can name any other investment, I don't think it could match the gains that could be made in Bitcoin. So this is not a financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do, because there are some risks in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is very volatile. When it goes up, it goes up. When it goes down, it does really go down. But at the end of the day, when it does go up, I mean, it's totally out the box, So Bitcoin is a very, very, very good investment. So I would encourage everyone to like invest, put like some money aside to invest. You don't have to invest in Bitcoin. Just find an investment that makes sense to you, that you think it works for you, then you understand it. Because I've been doing some research on Bitcoin and studying it for the past 3 to 4 years. So to me, as a young individual, I think Bitcoin is a very, very good investment plan for my future and for my kids and for my family. I think Bitcoin is a very good investment opportunity for everyone, actually. So investing as a whole is very, very, very vital to build financial wealth and financial stability and financial freedom at the end of the day, because that's what we want, to be financially free. Because working for money is very exhausting. It's very exhausting. So I think making money work for you, I think it's more beneficial and more soothing, and you have a greater future and a greater outlook on the world and how money really works. So I would encourage anyone out there to invest. Just look for any investment. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. Just find any investment. Maybe it could be property, it could be, I don't know, but just find an investment that makes sense to you, where you know that every single month I put away X money aside to invest in a certain, whether it's a business or a stock, as long as there is an X amount of growth in that investment that you are looking to invest in. But for me, I choose Bitcoin. Now, thank you again for tuning in for another episode of Worldwide Crypto. I hope you enjoyed the content of today. If you did, please like and subscribe. I mean, it's only free. And check out my video that I did on, it's a tutorial on how to invest in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And man, please do like and subscribe and leave your comments down below. But yeah, man, till we meet again, if you're not investing, what are you doing?